Our speaker this morning is Sadie Eilberg. Sadie is a four-year student from Pottstown, PA. She's a proud daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Eilberg and the proud sister of Graham, Gracie, and Lucia, and the proud roommate of Riley Nicewonder. Sadie?
If you know my dad, you know he has a quote to follow almost anything you say. Control the controllables. Great teams have great teammates. Happy wife, happy life. A challenging mantra to live by being married to my mom. And despite him never being on time to his own commitments, one of his favorites is early is on time and on time is late. He truly has a quote for everything. One that has resonated and stuck with me the most, though, is setbacks are setups for comebacks. This quote is one I have heard from him several times in my life, and most notably, at all my lowest moments. Whether my issue has been big or small, my dad has consistently reminded me that my struggles will only bring me strength. The first time I can remember hearing this was in 5th grade when I failed a math test. This was the first F I had ever received in school, and at the time, I thought this grade was the end of the world. I vividly remember crying outside at school before my parents picked me up, scared because I knew I would have to tell them. They weren't mad. My mom said she was happy as long as I tried my best, and my dad reminded me that it was a disappointment, but I would learn to study harder for a better grade next time. Setbacks or setups for comebacks. 6th grade came around and I started to struggle with obstacles larger than bad grades. Being bullied for the first time made it an extreme struggle to fit in socially at school. In 7th grade, the sabbatical year my family took to live in Asia made fitting in with my middle school peers even more challenging when I returned for 8th grade. That year, things continued to become significantly more difficult for me in terms of my mental health. I lost almost all of my friends and I felt completely out of place at school. My loss of friendships and a feeling I did not belong caused me to experience anxiety and panic attacks for the first time in my life. I tried my best to survive the seemingly never-ending last few months of 8th grade and focus on what my dad continued to tell me. Setbacks are setups for comebacks. When graduation came around, I was so excited to have a fresh start at Hill with new people. I had a very positive and fun experience my first few weeks at Hill. I quickly formed a large friend group and felt like I fit in well, a stark contrast to how I ended middle school. After being here for a few months, though, I became aware of an obvious disconnect between me and my classmates. Even my close friends acted strange towards me when certain topics were brought up and distanced themselves. "Sorry, I can't talk about this in front of you because you'll tell your mom," became a common phrase I heard. "Oh, you don't play sports?" said with a shocked face was another, as many people made the assumption I was an athlete given my dad's role here. While these may seem like innocent comments, they impacted me as I felt like I was already defined as a person by my parents' roles at Hill. In addition, choices I made socially significantly impacted my reputation in ways that eventually took a toll on my self-esteem. Instead of feeling like I had a fresh start and a place where I finally belonged, I felt that I had a reputation built for me before I even knew it, one that felt inescapable. My parents reminded me that reputations are not permanent and I was capable of rebuilding mine. Setbacks or setups for comebacks. Despite their words of advice, I remained unhappy and felt out of place and wondered if Hill was even the right fit for me. How could I say anything, though? I think many of us have trouble settling into Hill, but for me, after being born and raised here, feeling all this time like Hill was home, it was especially disheartening to enter the community as a student and no longer feel that same sense of belonging. Spring of my 3rd form year, the COVID-19 pandemic began, and we were told we wouldn't be coming back to school. I had hoped that time off would give me a break and help improve my mindset. However, I ended up feeling even more lonely and found myself unmotivated and isolated most of the time. When we resumed in-person school at the beginning of my fourth form year, everything was different. We were wearing masks and sitting in desks distanced 6 feet apart. Returning to school after several months of not talking to many of my classmates, my relationships felt different. Everyone seemed to have stayed in touch and come back to intact friendships, but I felt even more misplaced at Hill than when we left. There was still a sense of mistrust and disconnect between me and my peers, which caused me to stop being friends with most of them. I became consumed by what people thought of me and how I was perceived. I lost a lot of the friends I made during my first year at Hill and began comparing myself to everyone around me. I couldn't stop dwelling on how unhappy I was here and how different things would be if I had attended a different school. It felt like everyone at Hill had a talent or a quality that set them apart. My peers had musical talents, made the dean's list, or they were a varsity athlete being recruited to play college sports. However, I viewed myself as average, someone who did not have that special something to set me apart. My lack of any sense of belonging and this escalating pressure to perform built so high until I faced my biggest setback yet. I tried seeking permanent solutions to my temporary problems. I thought that was my best option, but I very quickly realized how wrong I was. And when I needed to hear it the most, my dad once again reminded me, setbacks are setups for comebacks. It became apparent to my family and me that I needed a mental break, which led to me leaving school for several months and going on medical leave. This period of my life was far from easy, but I wanted to share this experience to share what positive lessons I learned from it. After the months I took off school and 2 years of growth, I can say I am a completely different person with a full new perspective on my life. This experience, while it was very difficult to overcome, has taught me 3 very significant lessons I apply to my life now and would like to share with you all. Number 1, keep everything in perspective. Bad days are inevitable. That doesn't mean you should ignore or discount them, but it's important to not let them consume you. If we never struggled, how would our accomplishments and good days be as appreciated? I have accepted that I have mental health issues I will be working through for the rest of my life. It's unrealistic to think I will not struggle again, but I have learned to embrace adversities and try to see what good can come of them. Your perspective on life and the mindset in which you approach it with will make a crucial difference in your happiness. Number 2, who you surround yourself with matters. Over the past few years, I've made significant changes to who I decide to spend my time with. The people you devote most of your time to will contribute to the person you become. I've spent a lot of time choosing to surround myself with people that positively contribute to my life and lift me up, which has made the biggest difference in who I am. Most importantly, I learned to have a new appreciation for my family, people that will forever support and love me. I was really lucky to have incredible parents who supported me through a really challenging time in my life. My siblings became some of my best friends, and I have 5 people I can forever lean on, no matter what. The people around you will shape you as a person and make a massive difference in who you are. And finally, number 3, asking for help does not make you weak. In fact, it does the opposite. When I temporarily left school, I honestly felt pathetic for needing so much help. I wondered why my siblings were perfectly fine, yet I needed to go on medical leave, seek therapy, and take months off school just because I felt unhappy. I felt selfish for moving the attention of my entire family onto me, and I felt embarrassed knowing I couldn't handle my issues myself the way everyone else seemed to. In retrospect, I see how much strength it took to ask people around me for help. It takes great courage to accept that you cannot do something on your own, and asking for help is one of the most powerful things we can do. If you told me a few years ago, I would have grown to where I am now, including standing in front of the entire community giving a chapel talk, I would not have believed you. While my troubles have been extremely challenging to overcome, I am forever grateful for what they taught me and how they have changed me. After hearing this chapel talk, I hope that you all make an effort to turn your challenges into opportunities. I hope you are able to embrace your hardships and ask for support when you need it. And above all else, I hope you take away that whatever you are fighting, please don't give up. Your failures will become your successes. Your struggles will become your strengths, and your setbacks are setups for comebacks. Thank you.